So, Manchester United played in a behind-doors closed friendly game versus Hull yesterday. Who played in that game? Who scored? Who was involved? We're going to get into the details on what happened. Mainoo getting more minutes for Man United. Mason Mount playing with Mainoo, that midfield, warming up together. Donny, Van der Beek, Antony, among many more involved. We're then going to talk about the big changes that happened at United with Richard Arnold stepping down today. Loads and loads of rumours of Paul Mitchell. Manchester United are also exploring talks with the likes of Michael Edwards. Blanc set to come in, Murtough set to be sacked. We've then got news on Jadon Sancho, and then we've got some transfer news and some other interesting news about maybe Manchester City getting in a bit of trouble. So, let's get right into the video, but if you have not already, please do hit that like button and subscribe down below if you're new. So, it was tweeted earlier today that Antony and Donny van der Beek played in a behind closed doors match against Hull City yesterday. The United Standard and exclusive said that the behind closed doors match finished 1-1, but the goal scorers are unable to be identified. Then reports came out that this was the lineup, but they were unable to clarify which youth-back centre-backs played because Evans is injured, Martinez is injured, Maguire's on international break, Lindelof's on international break, everyone else is injured. But it was said that actually Donny Mount Mainoo midfield three was tried out with a Garnacho, Martial, Antony front three, which is, I quite like that. You know, I actually do. But defensively, I think United lacked a little bit there, and I think this behind closed doors game was like, okay, Martial's not had loads of minutes, Antony's had a big break, not had loads of minutes, Mount hasn't had the minutes he wants, Donny hasn't had many minutes at all, Kobbie Mainoo, Man United want to give him more minutes to warm up, and then Reguilon and Wan-Bissaka. So a lot of players did play 1-1, not the most exciting result, not the best result, but it's it's more of a fitness match because to get players up to fitness, because the thing is, we've had a lot of injuries, but there's players like Donny van der Beek that if, let's say, we need to play him, he's got no match fitness. So these behind closed door games in the international break give players like Martial, Donny van der Beek just that match fitness, and it will help Kobbie Mainoo in his return, which we know when he returns will be particularly important for United and have a big role under Ten Hag. I do want to see Mainoo, Mount, Bruno, midfield three tried out pretty soon. So let's get into the news. So I'm assuming you watched my live stream earlier today. Richard Arnold was sacked. Well, I said he was sacked, and everyone went, he stepped down, he stepped down. He wasn't sacked. He stepped down because he was going to be sacked if he didn't step down, okay? You know what I mean. But Richard Arnold is gone. Now is John Murtough going to go? Well, this was the news. John Murtough's role is believed to be under threat as Ratcliffe seeks to overhaul the structure at Manchester United. Man United want Paul Mitchell as sporting director. He's ready to join, but some details are yet to be finalised. United have also held discussions with Michael Edwards. Paul Mitchell is favoured to become Manchester United sporting director once Ineos is confirmed. And again, United have had discussions with Michael Edwards. Okay, Arnold gone. Blanc's supposed to be coming in. Bish bash bosh. We spoke about all of that in my live stream earlier, so check that out if you want to know everything about Blanc. Then Paul Mitchell to United. Paul Mitchell to United. It's becoming the new Frankie de Jong to United, but this time I think it will happen. Paul Mitchell. Cool, brilliant. Paul Mitchell, brilliant at the RB clubs, brilliant at Southampton, brilliant at Spurs, brilliant at Monaco. Exactly what United need, and their backup looks like to be Michael Edwards. Now, Michael Edwards, because he's not had the attention that Paul Mitchell's had, you could maybe argue was better than Paul Mitchell just because of his Premier League proven this with Liverpool, and I think that Sir Jim Ratcliffe could work well with someone like Michael Edwards. Anyway, Michael Edwards I'm also a big fan of. If we don't get Paul Mitchell, my second choice would be Michael Edwards because he was essential to Klopp's rebuild. FSG didn't give Klopp a lot of money when you think about it, and a lot of the money they spent came through big sales, and Michael Edwards, the job he did at Liverpool was a big part of that, and he left Liverpool over a year ago, and arguably Liverpool's recruitment last year was some of their worst, and then this year they brought in a new recruitment guy because the guy that replaced Michael Edwards they weren't happy with. Michael Edwards was phenomenal. He was a big part of that Klopp rebuild. If Man United brought in Michael Edwards, one, Liverpool tears, what we love to see, and two, I think he would be very, very good. But I think Paul Mitchell will happen. I think it's going to be Paul Mitchell. I think it's becoming like Anana when we knew we were going to get Anana. It was just like, okay, and then Diogo Costa was kind of linked, but we knew we weren't going to get Diogo Costa. I think Michael Edwards is that Diogo Costa, whereas Paul Mitchell is that Anana. But what's going to happen next? Because it's mad to think that Ratcliffe isn't even in, but those major changes are happening. It was said that Jean-Claude Blanc, current general manager of Ineos Sport and former manager of Juventus and PSG, is on track to take over from Richard Arnold as soon as the buyout from Ratcliffe is completed. He will go in. Now, Richard Arnold was obviously stepped down today. That needed to happen. He's not been good enough. I tweeted today that Richard Arnold's highlights at United was going and meeting some fans in the pub and having beers and a chat with them, and being spotted in Barcelona trying to buy De Jong and failing. I don't really know what else Richard Arnold did at United. He was very underwhelming. I don't think that Richard Arnold was the problem. I think had Richard Arnold got better ownership around him, he would have been given freedom to do a lot more. But the problem with Richard Arnold was he shouldn't have been doing that job in the first place. He's not got experience of that job. I'm sure that he had United's best interest at heart, actually. I generally don't think that he's a bad guy. I just think that he's, one, not 100% a footballing man, and two, he had to work with the Glazers, who definitely threw him under the bus. But the way he held and handled the Greenwood situation, I think, was when Richard Arnold, you kind of knew he was gone. Jean-Claude Blanc is set to become United's new CEO. That's kind of been said by many sources. And then the Times Sport, who've been very, very critical on the takeover. And all things regarding the takeover said that it's expected that Ineos investment in Man United will be completed during the international break, with sources believing that an announcement is likely to come at the end of the week or early next week. Also, there's a rumour going about in the Man United 1-1 Hull game that Kobbie Mainoo scored the goal. I don't know if that's true. I should have probably mentioned that when I was talking about Man United 1 Hull 1. But there was a big rumour going about that Kobbie Mainoo actually scored the goal. But you can't really confirm much when it's a behind closed door game. But this is looking like the new era. Paul Mitchell, Blanc, bish, bash, bosh. We know all about that. So we've got two more stories to get in. One with Sancho, which is a little bit boring, but there's just more updates on Sancho. And then we've got some interesting stories to do with Everton, Man City, and Manchester United buying Anana off Everton. And a few stuff on, of course, the transfer front. Also, Man City are looking at Nico Williams, which is going to wind me up if they get him. But continuing on, Ten Hag has decided the only option is to offload Jadon Sancho in January, but Manchester United are not prepared to take a massive hit on him. United want up to 50 million for Sancho, who is still only 23 and has still got his best years ahead of him. But a few clubs are willing to pay that price. Maybe in the summer we could have got 50 million for Sancho, considering Kai Havertz went for 65 million. If we were a competent club, I think we would have got 50 million for Sancho. Because we're a bad club, I think we would have got 40 million for Sancho in the summer, 45 million at a push, because you've got to look at what Kai Havertz went for. But Man United have no position of power with Sancho. It's not like they can say he's useful. It's not like they can say he can stay, he doesn't want to go. Everyone knows that Sancho is gone. He's not playing. So any club knows that they could probably get Sancho for about 15 million and United would be like, cool. Every club knows there's a possibility to get Sancho on the cheap. When you're Man United and you can't sell anyway, and you're Man United, you've got a player that everyone knows doesn't want to be there and is not going to play again, and the manager doesn't want, you know that player, Jadon Sancho, is going to walk for cheap. It'll probably be a loan deal until his contract runs out, and it will probably be the biggest flop in United history. But it was said that Sancho has refused to apologise to Ten Hag and end their personal feud, despite being urged to do so by senior figures and Man United, several of his teammates at the club. This is what I mean. At the end of the day, this was 3 games into the season. Sancho had a strop because he wasn't playing. Did Maguire have a strop? No. Did other players have a strop? No. Did Garnacho have a strop when he was on the bench? No. Sancho acted like a child. I want Sancho to be playing on the right wing because I think he would have had such a good partnership with Højlund. And Sancho was good in pre-season, and Sancho had a big fuss. If he'd actually not had that big fuss, Antony was stuck in Brazil, Sancho would have played a few games on the right wing, and if he was good, he could have revived his United career. He missed 4 months of last season because Ten Hag gave him 4 months off to try and help him get back to his best, and he repays Ten Hag by not playing 3 games and having a big strop and saying he's being scapegoated. Pep did the same to Guardiola at Man City. Is Guardiola acting out? No, because Sancho is not a professional. There was complaints about him at Dortmund, there was complaints about him at the Man City Academy days, and Southgate didn't like his attitude. So people would blame Ten Hag and his management for that. But Jadon Sancho's on 350 grand a week. Even if you don't like the manager, get on with it. You know, you said in your statement you're going to give your all for Man United. We need you at right wing. We lost Antony and you refused to apologise to the manager for your own stubbornness. We could have used you at right wing. You worked well with Højlund. You claim you have the club's best interests at heart. No, you have your 350 grand a week wages at heart. It makes me fuming how bad Sancho is acted, because I supported this guy. I gave this guy a lot of backing for 2 seasons when he was underwhelming. I said there's obviously stuff going on. I was patient with this guy, and I think Ten Hag was, and he just had to act like a complete idiot. Now, the last story coming out is obviously Everton are going to be hit by a 12-point deduction. Now, I think Everton aren't actually going to form and the international break, because Everton is a bogey team for us. But if Everton do go, I think Anana is a player that Man United should be looking at. A big physical midfielder that can cover a lot of ground. And I think we lack physicality in terms of height in this team a lot, especially as we're lobbing it in the air a lot. And I think Anana would be a good midfield addition that we know Man United are a big fan of bringing in. And he's been really, really good for Everton this season. But what I want to say is, if Everton are getting a 12 points deduction, does that mean Man City are going to be deducted all the way to the 10th league in England? Because if Everton's broke one charge and Man City broke about 150 billion charges that, and just keep chucking lawyers at it, surely Man City will be punished soon. Surely, because Everton, they have that one charge, they've been punished. Man City are just spending loads and loads and loads on lawyers. Man City have cheated. They have cheated. They are throwing money at it to get away with it. They need to be punished like Everton. Anyway, that was my Manchester United news roundup on the whole game, which reportedly Kobbie Mainoo scored in, but I think I need to wait for someone more reliable to say that. I feel like it just could be one of those ITK accounts that wants to say Kobbie Mainoo scored because we all wish Kobbie Mainoo scored. Obviously, Man City hopefully will get a points deduction soon, but it is a legal process. It will take a while. If guilty, I think they are guilty. I think we all know that they're guilty. And then, obviously, situations with other stuff going on like Sancho, come on, the takeover and more. Busy news day at United. I do apologise that I didn't do an evening live. It's just that I did a lunchtime live and I was so busy. I'm working on loads of projects outside of YouTube at the moment, so my time is just like whoosh. But I will be back with an evening live stream tomorrow at 6:30. I will get back into 6:30 live streams, but I think when it's the international break and there's not crazy news going on and I'm just so busy, that's why I've been slacking on the lives. Plus I had my throat last week, which maybe you can still kind of hear. Anyway, please do hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. Bye.